I hope this video gave you a little bit of a brain break from all the information you have received. However, the meaning behind this video is that we need to veer away from only assessing our students' proficiency with multiple choice tests and provide them more opportunity to use critical thinking skills. The new standards are more rigorous. The students will not only be expected to get the correct answer, but explain their thinking or reasoning. The goal is that our students in public school systems will leave high school more prepared for college and careers. Next, we are going to be looking at the academic plans, and you will notice that there will be an integration of the content for English language arts. Science and social studies standards are integrated into meeting the LAFS standards as well as science and social studies standards. Content is being taught as a type of concept or a thematic unit. Here is a snapshot of the third grade academic plan. All of you have a copy of the first quarter's academic plan for your specified grade level at your tables. You will see an arrow pointing to Concept 1-1, Quarter 1 at the top left side of the academic plan. Throughout the academic plan, there will be concepts. Concepts 1-2 will stand for Quarter 1, Second Concept. Concept 2-3 will stand for Second Quarter 2, Third Concept. Now, if you look over the top right side of the page, you will see a blue arrow pointing to the pacing range. That is how long you will have to teach the concept before testing. At the end of the concept, there will be 3 different concept tests to give. There will be an assessment for language arts, science, and social studies. Then if you look under where it says standards, you will see the LAFS standards on the left-hand side and the science and social studies standards on the right-hand side. This looks like a lot of standards, but some of them overlap into the next concept. If you look at the next page of the Concept 1-1, you will see an arrow pointing to the big ideas. There will be a big idea for science and social studies. Next, you will see essential outcome questions, and you will have essential questions for both science and social studies. The most important part about this page would be the learning goals portion. The standards can seem a little overwhelming to look at because there are so many of them, but if you follow the learning goals, this will help prepare the students for what they need to know for the particular concept. You will also notice that the learning goals are broken up into different domains that we discussed earlier when looking at the standards. Another valuable portion of the academic plan is that with the standards and learning goals that need to be covered in each concept, there are a variety of resources to use from the adopted curricula to teach these standards. As you know, we have been building our professional learning communities for the past few years. It is important to work as a PLC with all of the new changes. Some of the reasons we work as a PLC is because more professional minds are better than one. There is more accountability to carry out our goals and missions when working as a team than as a standalone teacher. We will become more open-minded to trying new strategies and seeing new perspectives on students in the classroom. We need to transition our thinking from, these are my students, to, these are our students. You will be able to take a deeper look at the data as well as different perspectives as to what to do with the data. When there are more professional minds analyzing the data, we will see an increase in student achievement. Also, this will renew our passion for being in the classroom when there are a collaboration of minds being problem solvers. So, we have looked at the standards and the academic plans. Now we are going to look at what is called the backwards design. We will be learning how to use the backwards design when implementing these new standards and academic plans. The backwards design works in 3 stages. Stage 1, identify desired results. Stage 2, determine acceptable evidence. Stage 3, plan learning experiences and instruction. Stage 1 is our desired result. This is where you want to see the end before planning the beginning. What do you want your students to ultimately know and be able to do when you are done teaching the standard, lesson, or unit? What will mastery look like? Stage 2 is your evidence. This is where you'll decide what resources you will use to show the evidence of mastery. This is where you will decide what your formative and summative assessments will be. Remember, formative assessments are not always pencil and paper tests. This could be where you have students responding to answers on a whiteboard, or students can partake in a think, pair, share, and you listen for responses. You could also make this a write, pair, share, and collect the responses to different questions or concepts. The teacher needs to be showing evidence of mastery before the final summative assessment. The data for formative assessments will drive the instruction throughout the unit or concept. Finally, we have the third stage of the backwards design. During this stage, learning activities must be planned. Ensuring that activities are aligned with the goals or desired results is key. However, it is important to focus on the sequencing and effectiveness of the activities. When implementing the backwards design and planning instruction, it is important to consider DOK leveled questions. DOK stands for depth of knowledge. There are 4 different levels of complexity with the DOK. 1. Recall. 2. Basic application of concepts and skills. 3. Strategic thinking and complex reasoning. 4. Extended thinking and complex reasoning, which is also a learning task. The following link is here in the PowerPoint, but you also have a handout. If you look at the standards, you will notice after each standard, there are levels of complexity. You will also notice that the majority of the levels are 2s and 3s. It is imperative that we try to build our rigor of instruction and try to implement more of the level 4 questions or tasks into planning and instruction. Later today, you will be planning your first concept with your grade level and try to see how you could incorporate some DOK level 4 questions and or tasks. It's always easier to implement the level 4 questions if they're planned for. Some examples of DOK level 4 questions would be analyzing information and seeing relationships in different information. You can show students the relationships and how informational facts given in the nonfiction text will help build their background knowledge to better comprehend fictional text or literature. Have students evaluate information by developing a hypothesis on what they are learning and then finding out if their hypothesis is correct or incorrect. Have students create or construct something to show their understanding of a concept. These levels of thinking will provide more of a deep understanding of the content rather than just memorizing facts and details. Okay, now let's look at an example of how to use the backwards design. For the purpose of this training, we used a 5th grade math standard. Students will be able to represent real-world and mathematical problems by graphing points in the first quadrant of the coordinate plane and interpret coordinate values of points in the context of the situation. As a PLC, you need to focus on the standards within the unit you are covering. After picking a standard, you will move on to stage 1. During this stage, you will identify the desired result. In other words, what should the student be able to do after learning and practicing the skill? What is the end product? The desired result based on the standard chosen is for the students to be able to graph a point or points on the coordinate plane to solve real-world and mathematical problems. These results will be assessed during stage 2 through plan acceptable evidence. The performance task here assesses students by the standard and also goes beyond by targeting student creation. This is a good activity considering that the new standards are geared more towards student-based activities. Other planned evidence could be a means of assessing the students according to the standard or could be focused on targets or prerequisite skills to reach that standard. Here they are assessing the targets with which students must learn in order to perform the task at the standard level. Stage 3 is when you start planning the learning experience or lessons. Sequence is key to this stage. In most cases, students have a series of skills or processes that they must learn in order to reach the desired result. Here we have the standard again, but also have all the targets that must be taught in order for students to perform according to the standard. Before being able to graph points on a coordinate plane to solve real-world and mathematical problems, students must master the standard MAFS 5G11, which includes locating the X and Y axis on a coordinate plane, locating points on a coordinate plane, and graphing ordered pairs. In order to get through this content, multiple lessons may have to be developed. The first lesson that will be done will consist of covering the targets. Direct instruction may have to occur but should be limited. Below are some ideas of activities suggested on CPOMs that align with teaching the content. The first two listed really focus on teaching the content and assessing if students understand and can perform at the particular level. Once the target or prerequisite activities have been planned, it is time to plan the activities that align with the desired result. Again, these activities on the slide are suggestions from CPOMs, all of which can be used to measure students' ability to perform at the desired result. For the purpose of planning, we would probably use one of the activities as a tool to see if students understand the content and another as an assessment. The activity called Describe the Graph is great for measuring student performance, as it not only requires them to perform at the standard level, but it requires them to use creative skills that align with the standard, which is more aligned with the Florida State standards. Based on the information you have received through this training and the example you have seen, it is your turn. With your PLC and unit of focus, pick a standard to use for the purpose of practicing the backward design. Together, complete the 3 stages to develop a lesson. Remember, the goal of this activity is to plan a lesson that uses the backward design to be implemented in your classroom. Please feel free to ask any questions. We are here to help you with this process. Also, you may refer to any of your handouts and printed examples for help. Before we end today, I just wanted to say thank you for participating in our training and wonderful job to all of you on your lessons. The intent of this training is to learn how to plan with purpose, which leads to meaningful instruction. This helps promote understanding from the teacher and the students. Teachers are more aware of the acquired skills to look for as their students progress through the lessons or units, while students become more aware of content in terms of what they are really learning and why. By implementing this model, teachers are able to truly break down content for themselves and their students. If students understand what it is they have to learn and what is expected of them, they take ownership. With this, the hope is to increase student retention, which should in turn promote overall student performance. If students are performing well based off of instruction and learning activities, the teacher gains the knowledge of knowing that the instructional practices being used are working. In the case that students are not performing to the standard, the teacher will need to go back and reteach content with the intent to revise the lesson for future use. Before you leave today, please fill out the survey and share with us your thoughts on how beneficial you think this training was in regard to planning and promoting student performance. Best of luck on your lessons, and thank you.